Birds of Prey, directed by Kathy Yan, written by Christina Hodson, starring Margot Robbie, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Journey Smollett-Bell, Rosie Perez, Chris Messina, Ella J. Bosco, Ali Wong, and Ewan McGregor. The film follows Harley Quinn as she joins forces with Black Canary, the Huntress, and Renee Montoya to save Cassandra Cain from Gotham City crime lord Black Mask. I'll be the first to admit that DC films have, or to a degree, have disappointed me. You know, even some properties that have been close to my heart, I felt that DC, and even Warner Brothers to a degree, have dropped the ball on. With Birds of Prey, this time around, they got the ball right. They hit the bullseye right on the money. Although this has connections to Suicide Squad, this is by no means a sequel to Suicide Squad. It is tonally and cohesively a much stronger film than Suicide Squad. It's definitely worth mentioning director Kathy Yan, who did an excellent job with this film. Her style was very fast-paced, energetic. She was able to balance so many plates in the air, so to speak, with this film. There was so much going on in this film, yet the film never went off the rails. And that's a testament, especially with this film's unconventional storytelling. You know, visually, the film's bright colors and visual aesthetics were very reminiscent of films like Clockwork Orange. You'll see that throughout the course of the film. A good example is, you see it in the trailer. I don't want to give anything away, but there's the amusement park, which you see in the trailer. That's a perfect example of the visual aesthetics. It's very reminiscent of Clockwork Orange's Milk Bar, but it's one of those visual aesthetics, that bright color palette, that neon brightness that stands among the pack of comic book films that tend to have a neutral palette for the most part. Majority of films tend to have a very neutral palette. They don't tend to have bright colors. There's some films that do have bright colors, but this is one of those films that does stand out with having those really bright palette of colors. And as I mentioned, the film's unconventional storytelling structure. Most films, especially in comic book films, they tend to have a very linear style of storytelling. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very popular. But this film implemented Akira Kurosawa's storytelling structure that's found in Rashomon. If I've stumbled upon that, I'm sorry. I tend to pronounce things wrong at times. And you also see that in Tarantino films as well, like Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill as well. And even to a lesser extent, Deadpool did it to a degree. Well, Deadpool 1. Deadpool 2 tried doing it a little bit, but Deadpool 1 executed it better. But the structure, how it does it without giving anything away, is if you know Rashomon, you kind of know how the film's going to be structured. It does its unconventional storytelling, which I think, in my opinion, stands out such a great way. It's not perfectly executed, but its missteps are made up, are so minor that it's not even really worth mentioning, because just its attempt at doing this unconventional style of storytelling is really impressive. You know, Margot Robbie never ceases to amaze me as an actress. You know, there's certain people who are born to play certain roles, and Margot Robbie was born to play Harley Quinn. If it wasn't obvious in Suicide Squad, it's obvious now in Birds of Prey. Her comedic timing, her quips, her interactions with characters, it's clear as day. Even in action sequences, she was born to play this character. And the way that this film humanizes the character, not just showcases the craziness of Harley Quinn, but also shows Harley Quinzel, is the difference between Harley Quinn and Harley Quinzel. how the film does that and shows these different layers throughout the course of the film. It's very impressive how they dive into the character. And I really appreciate how they did that, while going into the over-the-topness of Harley Quinn, which absolutely was incredible. You could tell that Margot really dove headfirst in this character. And it's very similar to how Ryan Reynolds, once he was able to portray Deadpool to the fullest, really shined through. This pretty much reminded me of that. Journey Smollett Bell. Wow, she was a real surprise. I didn't know anything about her except for what I seen in the trailers. But wow, did she surprise me. I know they're going to be working on a Birds of Prey sequel, or probably have already worked on it already, but I would love a Black Canary solo film. There is so much potential for her character. And from what I've seen in this film, the sky's the limit. You get the right writer. Hell, get Christina Hodson to write for her. Hell, get Gail Simone. If you get the right team to write a Black Canary film, that film is gonna make bank. Because I was blown away by Journey's performance. I immediately wanted a film, and especially one particular moment, which I won't spoil. That's when I was like, and the audience I was with erupted, and I was like, A Star is Born, clearly. And like, I know people are probably more familiar with her, but I immediately was like, sign me the fuck up. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress. Like, I enjoyed her as a character. I enjoyed her performance as Huntress. Like, I understood what they did with her arc without giving anything away. I really, really loved it because it reminded me of a particular films I love. But at the same time, I felt she was underutilized. But I understand why. I understand certain things that they did, why she was used the way she was. But at the same time, I wish she was used a bit more. You ever catch yourself flipping through the TV during a late night when you can't sleep, and you find a show or a movie that has like that cop on the beat who's like always solving crimes, who's like the hotshot detective? That's what Renee Montoya is in this movie. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, but that film, that's what Renee Montoya is in this film. And the ironic thing is, minor spoiler, the film makes a reference to that. Ella J. Basco as Cassandra Cain, though, while she's an endearing character, and I kind of got what they were going for with her, which I found very reminiscent of other comic book films, I just felt, for the most part, they treated her like a plot device. That she was essentially the walking MacGuffin. And to me, that was a shame, is that there wasn't much development on her. And that probably is because they plan on doing stuff with her later down the line. But at the same time, I felt sad that they didn't do much beyond the initial meaning of her. Ewan McGregor as Black Mask, campy as fuck, but damn, scared the shit out of me. I would have wanted to walk through Gotham City knowing that he was around. I'm telling you, like, I know the trailers just kind of paint him as campy and over the top, but the guy is scary alongside his partner in crime, Victor Zsasz. I'm probably saying that wrong, I know I am. But it is frightening. And Ewan gets dives headlong into it and gives 150% into this film. He really embraces this character. And I'll say this, the action sequences in this film were fucking phenomenal. With the assistance of John Wick director Chad Stahelski, this film was gifted by the fucking gods. The action sequences don't feel like copy and paste sequences that you see in a lot of action films, which tends to happen if you watch a lot of action films. You tend to see that they tend to almost copy and regurgitate the same things. But the action films have almost, in this film, have a unique look to them that give the film a vibrancy. They give it a life. They give it a unique energy to it that you couldn't say, oh, that action scene was reminiscent of that film. It feels very original. The comedy in this is fantastic, and a lot of that has to do with the Harley Quinn character and Margot Robbie's timing as well. The supporting cast also has their moments as well, especially there's one moment in particular that Huntress does, which is freaking phenomenal, where that brings Harley Quinn's expertise into it, which just gave the audience gave such a moment of laughter that was extended for minutes, which I thought was brilliant how they interjected that. But again, as I said prior, without Harley, the film wouldn't work. Like, my issues with the film I had were some tonal issues, pacing issues, and how characters were utilized. Well, some of them. The tonal issues were in the third act, which it kind of had a weird shift, and I won't explain why. That's more spoiler-esque. And the pacing issues were in the beginning. I felt it was a little slow at first in just some things. You'll kind of understand when you see the film. But eventually it picks up and whatnot. But after that, not a problem. But how certain characters were handled, that's definitely a spoiler that I don't want to get into, and I don't want to spoil it. But overall, I really love this film.
I give Birds of Prey a 4 out of 5.